Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching and listening. This is the podcast from the 1457 Society by Scotland, where golf began. A digital platform bringing you all the things you need to know about where to stay, play golf, eat and drink when you visit Scotland. My name's Malcolm Duck, just taking over the hot chair here and host you. And I'm joined by my resident golf nut, Dave Kerr. Good morning, afternoon and evening to you, Dave.
Hello there, how are you?
Very well, very well. And Ross Flanagan, who has just joined us on the podcast. Ross, how are you doing?
Malcolm, very well. Thanks for having me back. I must have pressed those buttons successfully the first time, so I'm back again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. And we have a very special guest on today. We have Dave Harris from Bonnie Golf. You're a tour operator. You remember Scotland where golf began. How did you get into golf? What's your background?
Well, first of all, hello Malcolm, hello Ross, hello Dave, thanks for having me. I guess I grew up playing golf. As you know, it's a way of life here in Scotland. Played with my dad and I play at Royal Aberdeen in the northeast of Scotland. And I got into caddying one summer and did a series of summers. So met a lot of Americans that way and quite enjoyed it. Quite enjoyed meeting all these characters from across the pond. And, you know, at the end of my teenage years, I thought, could I do something along in the golf tour world? So that led me into Bonnie Golf.
So it's a great name. What was the thinking behind the name?
Well, the saying Bonnie Scotland, really, it's a beautiful little game at times. Most of the time, it's a beautiful little game. So I just thought it was an appropriate name for a golf tour business based in Scotland.
So you're bringing people from really all over the world to Scotland to play golf and organising their kind of golf trips, yeah?
Yeah, all over the world, but most of our clients do come from America. They do dominate the industry. So most of our clients are US based, but we'll cater for anyone.
So I mean, Dave Kerr, you're still with tour operator with Fairways to Heaven. So but Dave H, Dave K, how are we going to do the two Daves, the double Ds? So Dave H, if you're looking to come and play golf in Scotland and you're what advice do you, Dave Harris first, what advice would you give? How would you go about deciding where to come and playing in Scotland?
Well, I mean, plan in advance. It's very popular. It's a popular destination, even more so. And each year, the demand grows. So, plan your trip at least a year in advance if you can. Some of the golf courses open their books in February, March, the year before you're planning to travel. So planning is the key. Obviously have the list of courses that you wish to play. Tour ops will always try and tick all the boxes, but a lot of these clubs have members to consider and fixtures and tournaments. So we'll always try and accommodate all the requests, but some are easier than others. But if you can plan in advance, you'll probably get most of those courses. Travel in a group of 4 or 8 for obvious reasons. The beauty of 8 is you can mix up your 4 balls or mix up your games each day. It's a very manageable group size for everyone. Always take a caddy. They'll only enhance the experience. Always take a driver, so you don't have to worry about driving on the roads. And again, they'll only enhance your experience. They'll look after you for the week or the 10 days that you're here. And yeah, if you're thinking about St Andrews, as most people are, look for that authorised provider status so that you're dealing with a recognised tour op. And those would be 5 tips anyway. I don't know if Dave agrees.
Very comprehensive, David. Very comprehensive, exactly as I would expect. But I think that we did touch on it actually in the last podcast. The timeline just gets longer and longer now for how far in advance you have to plan if you want to tick those big boxes. So, the likes of the Old Course or Muirfield, even likes of Royal Dornoch or maybe Troon as well, obviously, which hosted the Open this year. These are high demand venues and often restricted supply. Only certain days you can play Troon or Muirfield. As you mentioned, Royal Dornoch got lots of members, so to keep them happy as well as the visitors can be. I know that's a specific challenge for Neil Hampton up there, and the Old Course is the one everyone wants. So it's I think there's a wonderful romanticism about, the 48-hour ballot, the security time on the old course. The new approach that they've got to the singles queue is innovative and works very well.
What's the new approach?
So obviously you used to queue up outside overnight, and they found that people were maybe not getting a good night's sleep and getting a bit cold and maybe a bit fractious and maybe not enjoying their day if they were successful to get on the old course the next day. So last year they changed that to a digital process where there's iPads in the old pavilion right next to the first tee of the old course, and also in the Links Clubhouse, which is near the first tee of the new course and the Jubilee course. And the day before you want to play, you go in there between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. and you log in and provide some details. It takes a picture of you, and so that it knows that it's you that's going to turn up. And then about 5 p.m. they then run a ballot process, and you get a notification either by email or by text message or both, telling you where you've come, whether you've been selected for a tea time, allocated a slot, or you've been allocated a place on the waiting list. And then that waiting list position will be updated throughout the day. If you're in the first maybe half dozen or so of those slots on the waiting list, then they suggest that you come first thing in the morning in case anyone's pulled out at the last minute or there's any slots become available. So a number of our clients used it last year and were successful through that method. It's a good way just to, and again, I guess the excitement of it all as well, which adds to it.
Sorry, I was going to ask Dave, when you go in either at 9 a.m. or 9:01 a.m. and register for the ballot, or register at 4:59, the time of the day that you register or the number of, that you're in, does it or doesn't it make a difference? Yeah, I think there's a bit of confusion still around that. No.
No. Again, they run a ballot based on the number of entries that are in there by the cut-off time. So it's not a first come, first served by any stretch. So
I had the pleasure when I met Dave Harris of sitting in the pavilion one day, and we were doing some video work, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But I listened to the droves of people walking in and going to the office there and asking about, can I get on today? Can I get on tomorrow? How do I get into the ballot? Am I guaranteed? Oh, blah, blah, blah. And the poor people in the pavilion there were just like rejection after rejection. No, you have to. No, you have to. I was like, must have been very frustrating for them. But the positive side is how many people were just walking in and wanting to come and visit and play and experience the old course. And thankfully, the beauty of the Links Trust is, there's so many options falling into place. So most people could have an option to go and experience a round of golf. A lot of people from that one day of sitting in there watching would just take the opportunity to drive up. They might have been in town in Edinburgh or in Glasgow or somewhere else and just bomb up and try their luck. And I never experienced the old system of the ballot, the waiting list and when the door opened at 7 a.m. or whatever time it was and the camp out. But I have a very good friend from America who has done several times. And I think the last time he was in that queue was 7 p.m. the night before. And some of the stories that he's told over the journeys of him being in those lines, you can understand, why the Links Trust had to make that change. And I think
this is going to be where you make friends when a queue overnight and these kind of things. I kind of feel a bit we're I get why they're doing it. They've done it and that's great and whatever, but we are taking a lot of that kind of human element away from life when you make friends. And the guy you sat with all that night, you'll probably speak to for the next 20 years. So, that's, and the other thing is, I think I've done pretty well there, sitting and listening to all that about Scotland's Golf Coast here, listening to St Andrews, and they're all going up and the frustration. My frustration is so many other golf courses in Scotland to come and play, and not just St Andrews, great areas. Just finishing off with what you take on how you get on the trip, Dave Kerr, what would you put in your suitcase? What would you put in your bag coming to Scotland if you were from somewhere else? What would you take that's different that you wouldn't normally be in your bag?
Well, one thing that we can never guarantee is the weather, obviously, in Scotland. So I think you need everything between shorts and short-sleeved shirts and a full rain suit, maybe even 2 full rain suits. If you're playing on consecutive days, I think.
But no, it's not in East Lothian because we're so dry with our microclimate.
Well, the microclimate, 2 podcasts in, the microclimate comes out already. Fantastic.
So again, I think we've had some clients this year that came late season, early October time, and I emphasised them the need to bring multiple pairs of golf shoes and waterproof socks if you can find them, and rain suits. And then they came for 5 nights, and there was not a single spot of rain the whole time they were here.
But then you
And they actually had 2 nights in East Lothian and there were 3 nights in St Andrews. But
Dave Harris,
yes.
on this podcast, I promote East Lothian and Dave promotes St Andrews and Fife, so we could have gently jostle and banter about it. But the fact is that we've got these fantastic golf courses right across Scotland, and we were talking about before about the 2 9-holers we went to play in the 1450 Shepherd Society. Within our
Comprehensive fill-ins.
so Sullins, a little courses like that, for the day, and stop off on the drive up, and you go and play 9 holes. It's just brilliant. But I see those you watching, you'll see 2 whiskey barrels on both of Dave's screens there, and you'll see one's got shiny bits, and the inventor of this thing, Bonnie Wee Golf, Dave Harris, has got no shiny bits. So Dave, old Tom Morris is written there. You've invented a golf trail with some of Scotland's really iconic courses. So do you want to tell us a wee bit about the Old Tom Morris Trail?
Of course, yeah. Well, in 2021, St Andrews were celebrating 200 years of Tom. So his 200th birthday, June 16th, 2021. And that's when we launched this trail to honour the grand old man of golf. And to keep the legacy alive, we thought there's a golf trail. You see trails around the world. But I thought, what better place to have an Old Tom Morris trail than in Scotland? And the trail covers the whole of the country. There are 18 courses on the trail, so it's a bit like a round of golf in itself. And they are numbered 1 to 18, but you can play them in any order you like. The trail starts in South Uist at Askernish, which is it's known as the Lost Golf Course. It's brought back to life relatively recently. But Old Tom laid it out in 1891. And to this day, you'll still get an 1891 experience. It is like going back in time. It really is. So,
How was that rediscovered?
good question. I've forgotten the guy's name. It'll come to me.
Yeah, so was it? But it was. You said it was quite recently, and then they kind of come back up and kind of got it going again.
There was a guy from Glasgow,
Guys from Glasgow everywhere.
but he was there on holiday, and the locals talked about this course that existed on Askernish, and he said he could see it even though it was all overgrown. And he teamed up with Martin Ebert, who helped him bring back this golf course the way they thought it was. And they said they could see the greens, and it's actually a very playable course now. The fairways are pretty good. The greens are probably slower than your average golf course, but they still roll nicely. But the course is just immense fun. And I know Dave Kerr's played it. I've played it with Dave. But it's a very, very unique experience, and it is like golf was back in the day. But that's just the start of the trail. You move across to Royal Dornoch, Tain, Nairn, and then you work your way along the Murray coast. So from Nairn you go to Murray Old, Cullen, down to Cruden Bay, Montrose, Carnoustie. So that's the sort of front 9 of the trail. And then you end up in
Montrose and Carnoustie. They're some of the older golf courses in Scotland, aren't they?
They are indeed, yeah. Montrose is the 7th oldest in the world. And Carnoustie is obviously a very famous open venue. So there's a mixture of hidden gems and open championship courses. On the second 9, you start in St Andrews. We've got the old course, the new course, and Crail. And then we move around to Malcolm's Land in East Lothian, where we've got 4 courses: Lough Ness New, Muirfield, North Berwick, and Dunbar. And then across to Prestwick and round to Machrihanish so it really does cover the whole of the country. Great variety of courses, all links courses. It's a game I prefer, and Americans certainly come here for the links experience.
I would. Across you, Ross. How would you describe the difference between links golf and parkland golf?
Well, I think, parkland golf, traditionally is surrounded by trees. I think a lot of the questions that people ask me are more about the difference between links golf and sandbelt golf, and that seems to be always a big. People want to compare that, and sandbelt golf. The terrain is predominantly sand substrate, so very well draining. It's conducive to beautiful shape in the ground. Some of that shape in the sandbelt is very natural. Some of it's introduced, unlike links golf, where it's correct me if I'm wrong, predominantly natural. But the sand substrate is obviously very good for playing golf on and growing grass to play golf. The sandbelt is different. The bunkering is different. It's bigger, more expansive. It's not it's natural, but it's shaped. It's man-made, as opposed to what I experienced with a lot of links golf is maybe not the pot bunkers, but a lot of the bunkering, emanated from those blowouts where the sheep used to take cover from the wind and the rain and all of that. And then the golf course was formed around these areas. Not a lot of trees on links golf. Any golf course that's got a gorse eradication program in place has got to get a tick from me, because I still will never forget the first time that I drove a golf ball into gorse and I stuck my hand in there to get it out. And it's a painful reminder, but maybe that's a point of conjecture amongst some of the locals. I don't know. Links golf for me is the essence of golf. It's how it started. It's where it began. That's why we're here. And there's just something to be said when you're standing out there in one of those links land golf courses where there's not a lot around you, maybe the town, the village that you can see in the distance there. You can hear the oyster catchers or the seagulls or whatever other birds are around. You've got the rumpling, rolling fairways, depending on where you are, a little bit more so down in Macrahanish, for example, and maybe a little
bit when he gets going, isn't it?
But it's just, it's an experience, and again, I don't want to be one of these people that sort of get it too emotional and too effusive, but I can distinctly remember the day when I was standing in the fourth or the fifth hole down at Macrahanish, and I had a feeling, and I'd only played one old Tom Morris course before then, and it was in Ireland. It was Lahinch, and fortunately, I had the course that I was a member of in Australia. I had reciprocal rights, so it was very, very easy. And I just went down there, and I didn't know anything about really old Tom Morris and his significance to the game in Scotland, let alone how he introduced good links golf into Ireland as well. And that was really the start of this whole links journey for me, and understanding what it's all about. Hence, I think the reason why I went on to Macrahanish, I had this feeling like I had when I was standing there at Lahinch the first time many years ago. Dave, to your credit, I think from an outsider's perspective, an international person, I think marketing the old Tom Morris Trail is a stroke of genius. Really highlighting what old Tom is, and you can see the RNA now signifying that with the statue, and people understanding what he means to the game. But just to have that as a tour and something that you can offer your clients and really build a program around that is great. And I saw the benefit of that. That day that we were up there, I mentioned Kevin Kirk on the last program, and he was instrumental in getting me a little bit of an introduction and getting some work, and that's where I met you. You had one of your clients and one of your groups finishing the trail. How many groups have you had finish the trail? And talk us a little bit about what happened that day.
Yeah, that was Jay Carutis and his friends in June. They're actually the first group to have completed the trail. We've had a few groups play a few of the courses, and they're hopefully going to come back and complete the trail and go to these remote parts of Scotland. But yeah, Jay and his friends travelled here last year in 2022. They saw a tweet about the trail and were very intrigued by it. So Jay and his 7 friends came and they played 9 courses last year, and then in June this year they played the remaining 9, not in the order it's laid out, but just the way their tours evolved. And they actually finished on St Andrew's Old Course, which is where you met them. So that was a very special day, and we made a sing and dance about it. We got Dougie Donnelly to interview Jay, and he announced them on the tee. And we met you, Ross. It was a pretty special day for them. And then they were all awarded with their cask lids after the round. So you get a coin for each course, like this. On one side you've got Old Tom's head and the course name, and then on the other side you'll have the course logo. So they got presented with their cask lids, all their coins, or the remaining 9 coins, and they had a good dinner on the 4th floor of the Rusacks, and it was a pretty special day.
I think I love what you've done with the variety of them as well, Dave, because all the big names are there, but you've got the likes of a Cullen and obviously an Askernish and Macrahanish, and I think it would have been easy to pick courses that are more accessible, right? But
Mm.
because you've picked some of those further flung ones like Askernish and Macrahanish, you've turned it into what it is. It's a challenge, right? It's not this. It's and it deserves to be recognised. And I think the whiskey ballad is an idea of genius, just in terms of bringing it all together. So I think just we know as tour operators, it can sometimes be challenging to get American clients to do that, some of those further flung areas. But when they do, they massively appreciate it and always enjoy it. So, like, did you accompany that group out to Askernish? Do you know what were their thoughts on that, for instance, as a experience?
Yeah, I prepped them for it, saying you are going back in time, and they loved it. They found it a good challenge, good test of golf. They probably wouldn't have played Cullen without the trail, and they thought it was immense fun. They all rated the courses. Not one of them had the same favourite, so it's quite interesting to see what they preferred. But yeah, it's a great journey itself. You could do it in one trip, but that's pretty full on. I mean, these guys did it in 2 trips, and again, that was probably a bit too full on.
Mm.
But you can go to each region, play other courses. You could spend a whole 2 weeks in East Lothian. You could spend a week in the Highlands and play other courses like Brora and
Also, it was
Golspie.
Gulf Coast, East Lothian.
Yeah, but there are so many courses. The theory behind the trail is it'll take people to these not so much untouched but quieter areas of Scotland that could do with the well-earned exposure.
Absolutely. I know you're a particular proponent though of golf in the islands. I know you've played a lot of kind of Hebridean courses. Which ones there, other than Askernish, obviously, which we spoke about, which other ones there stand out for you as worthy of taking the time to go and explore?
I'm a life member of Harris Golf Club, so probably my favourite 9-hole course in Scotland. I can go there every year and play 9 holes. I've played it with Dave as well.
We did have a experience of everything between sunshine and snow,
Yeah,
and
it-
where was it, mid-May or something? It was
May 2021. But it's just super, super fun. And, you don't have time to play 18 holes. There are plenty of 9-hole courses scattered around the country that provide just as unique an experience and, perhaps more fun than 18 holes. But yeah, I love Harris. Um, it's not. I also love Durness up in the northwest of Scotland. It's not in the Hebrides, but it's well worth the effort to go there. It's a pretty special 9-hole experience.
Where would you stay when you're up there, Dave?
Well, I mean, if you're in Dornoch, it's only 2 hours to Durness, so you could do it in a day. But there are bed and breakfast.
Dornoch Station.
Dornoch Station, yes.
We try and mention our members as much as we can, but also just trying to go and stay. And actually, just on that, if you guys, people listening or watching, go to the website, www.scotlandwheregolfbegan, you'll find our tour operator members, which you can come through, but you'll also find little films about the golf courses and the history and some ideas if you're doing it yourself. So do please go and visit the website, and even better, go onto the 1457 page and come and join the group. Again, this platform is really about not just playing golf where you stay, where you eat.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing of coming to Scotland. And I went to a tourism thing last year in Aberdeen, and what came through is most people travel for food and culture. They happen to play golf, they happen to do castles, they happen to be hill walking, but the reason they go away is to experience that other culture, part of which is the activity. I mean, I think that also, with what you've done with the trail, leads into that. So, Dave Kerr, I'm guessing you've got all the coins back there. So have you played all the courses?
I have. I think, was it Nairn? I think was my last one, which was just last year. And again, I think it probably wasn't a conscious decision to tick it off, but it was that's a golf course which I think maybe again is probably a little bit underappreciated. Probably doesn't get the interest from Americans that it deserves. It's an amazing setting right on the shore there, and straight along the coast at Nairn. It's a beautiful opening stretch to that golf course. And again, a very warm welcome as well, and some terrific hotels and restaurants in and around Nairn as well. So definitely one that again deserves its place on the Old Tom Morris Trail.
And
So
you mentioned the Marine and Lawn. They've got hotels in Dornoch, St Andrews, Troon. So I mean, you could
North Bar-
North Berwick. So you could stay in 4 marine and lawn properties and complete the trail over 4 trips.
A group of members from my course back in Australia, Peninsula Kingswood, shout out to anyone from there that's listening. They've got a 2026 trip planned, and they are starting in Dornoch. And essentially, all of their accommodation is at the Marine and Lawn. So Dornoch Station, Russell's, the Marine, and then over at Troon there as well. So yeah, they've planned a whole trip and they're ticking off a whole host of golf courses, and including not just the big ones, but some of the ones that we've spoken about in between. The Taines and the Golspies, for example. There's little side trips planned for those. Dave, I've got a question, because put my international hat on, you sit back overseas and you dream about playing golf in Scotland and coming across here for trips. And, I've had a different experience because, I just front up and usually I've just rocked up. If there's somewhere I want to play, I've tried to book in advance. If I can get in, I've gone and played. And if not, I've gone and played somewhere else. But I'm not the example of the people who, take a trip. But there are plenty that are. And I think there's not a great appreciation or understanding of what goes into putting the trip together and the amount of resources that it takes from your side to put the trip into place and to have consequential trips, like 2 trips at once and overlapping trips. And this is what I've learned since, I met you, for example, and spent a bit of time at the old course, and just I was happy to go up to the old course or to St Andrews for a couple of days and not even play golf and just sit there and people watch, and you really get the sense of how busy the place is. Therefore, you must be very busy. How do you put a team of people together, and what is it like operating a tour company, and what sort of resources do you have at your disposal to make everything happen?
Well, I've got a fabulous team. There are 7 of us now at Bonnie Wee Gall. Myself.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. But we're a good team, and we've got a 6-month window to create these experiences for people. So yeah, great team: Stu, Rachel, Cam, Kev, Karen, Julie.
Well done.
And well, we're based here in Aberdeen. We've got a good office. We all love golf. We all love people, and we all care about the experience that we're delivering. So we try and meet each group at least once during their trip, and hook them up with their driver for the week. What were the other questions there, Ross?
I was just more wanting everyone that might be listening in whatever part of the world to get an appreciation that, tour operators aren't, you sitting in front of your hogshead barrelhead there and Dave sitting in front of his and, making the magic happen. That's a significant part of the industry and in here in Scotland, and, is a great employer of people. And, I've met Rachel, and I met your wonderful wife. I forget her name. Sorry, Julie, was it?
Yeah.
And the other young chap that was working for you, and you just, once you peel back the layers, and you do get appreciation that this is a big thing. And when you're booking a tour, the magic just doesn't happen. And there's a whole host of people there, at your disposal to make it happen. And you really, it's a hit the button, send the money, and everything else is done for you. And you can really relax and enjoy looking out the window at the Highlands and doing whatever else you want to do when you're here in Scotland, because there is so much else to do. But it's just good to get a sense of what it takes. And 7 people, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, well, they're a good team, but we do sell luxury boutique experiences. Of course, you can do it yourself. By booking a tour up, you just have someone else do it for you, and not really leave anything to chance. Everything's taken care of before you get here, and you've just having someone on the ground when you're here to call if any questions or want to change things. It seems to go down well. So.
Well, I guess for me, a lot of people said, "Oh, what are you going to do when you go to Scotland, mate? What are you going to do? You can get into golf travel." People think because I take a couple of photos, I think I know I'm a travel expert. I'm certainly not. I said, I'm not sure that that's my thing. It takes a special, very tolerable person to operate big groups of people. And I know what it was like in a golf shop was hard enough, but surely, you're knocking on the doors early in the morning to people, getting people out, sleeping in, you're dealing with all sorts of different stuff, I imagine.
You are, yeah. I love it.
But I think both the days, I
So
think what one of the differences, I think working in golf is the people are so good. I mean, the clients, just golfers are good. I remember in COVID, because we put trips together through Ducks In, and we, phoning up those guys in COVID, I was terrified and cancelling it all, and they were so understanding. And I think if that had been something else, not in golf, it would have been very, very, very different. And these were guys from all across the week. Well, a lot of Americans, we got a lot of Scandinavians, so a lot of different people coming through. But I think one of the joys, and you enjoying it, comes across in your face, and your mannerisms and all the rest of it. And it's just making experience people that's really important. But I think it's just a great industry to work in. I don't know if you both would agree on that side.
Yeah, no, again, I think I've obviously got my history was more in financial services and only came to golf in 2019. And I can honestly say 99.99% of the people that I've encountered in that 5 years have been unbelievably, effusively positive and welcoming and, you know, enthusiastic about what they do, and just laser focused on customer experience and making sure that people that come here are having the very best time they could possibly have. We're not selling, accountancy services. These are people coming to have a good time. And so it's an easy product to sell in one respect, but then you want people to feel that they're here just to have a good time. The skill of the driver and the tour operator is to take all the noise away, just quiet all that down so that people can just focus on and having a good time. People locking themselves out of apartments. That's happened a few times for us this year. Quick call to me and we'll sort that out. The time they come back to the apartment, the key will be in the lockbox or wherever it is, and it's fine. It's these things happen. No one needs to stress about it. We'll smooth that out and it'll be just fine. People running a little bit late for a tea time, we'll call ahead. If we can, we'll try and juggle things around. People at golf courses are very understanding there as well, and if they can help, they absolutely will. So it's those wee smoothing out things. That's really what a tour operator gives you, I think. There are amusing stories. I think one of my first ones, came in 2019. I got a phone call from, I'm not going to mention where it is, but if you know it, you'll maybe be able to guess it from my description. So the clubhouse in this particular golf course has a changing area which is upstairs, and there's a small balcony area that overlooks the 18th green. And one of our groups of 8 golfers from America were playing 36 holes one day. They played 18 in the morning, 18 in the afternoon. The whole group were drinking throughout. One particular gentleman, he had a bottle of Chivas Regal, which is like a whiskey liqueur, I believe, in the morning. I had a second bottle in the afternoon. The rest is 36 holes. Came into the clubhouse afterwards, went into the showers, had a shower, wandered out of the shower, didn't bother with a towel, wandered out onto the balcony and started heckling the golfers on the 18th green. So I got a call, understandably, from the wonderful woman that looks after golfers at this particular golf course, just to let me know that this had happened and that it was not the kind of thing they expect people to do, and they had a certain set of standards that this fell short of. So that was one of the very first conversations I had with that particular operations manager. So it was a bit challenging, if I'm honest, but it was all, we have a great relationship ever since, and it's fine. These things happen, I guess, but we try and tell people just keep a lid on things a little bit.
No, it is all great fun. And also we've talked about links golf and all the rest of it, but also, I mean, there's some great inline golf courses in Scotland, Glen Eagles, Rosemount, and all these wonderful, wonderful courses. I think when I was going to there is with links golf, when I started, I forgot about it. I talk about gin and tonic golf and links golf. So we're trying to get people into the game I call gin and tonic golf. I'm not being rude to Portugal and Spain, but you go there, you have a gin and tonic. It's nice and hot, it's warm, it's buggies. Scotland, even on the inland courses, it's harder. It's windier. There can be rain. Links golf can be unforgiving, but it's just great fun. So it's a slightly different kind of thing. I think you need to be really wanting to do it a bit more than just picking up a set of clubs and going out in the sunshine. But it's just fantastic. And Dave Harris, thanks a lot for all you've done and telling people about the trail. I guess people can go and play it on their own, but they mostly do it through you. They're better coming to you and doing it through you.
Or they can, I mean, a lot of people have played these courses already.
Yeah.
They easily get their hands on a coin. But if anyone wants a helping hand, any tour operator can book the trail. It's open to everyone. I'd encourage you all to collect all those coins, obviously, and eventually get this cascade that can be personalized. So Dave Kerr's will say, in the North Sea there, it'll say Dave Kerr completed the Old Tom Morris Trail in April. I can't read it. I know. Or they're personalized. They've gone down really well with the J. Carutis group. They've just received theirs, over the last few weeks, and they've got very fond memories of their trip, and it was a pleasure to look after them. They all, I've got this picture, another picture of Scotland, but they've signed this map for me. So that's J. Carutis and his friends, the first group to complete the trail.
Brilliant.
No, it's a fabulous experience, but as you said, Malcolm, there are plenty of golf courses. There is no shortage of golf courses in Scotland. It's great that the old course exists. It brings so many people to Scotland, but all the other courses around benefit because of the St Andrews being the holy grail of golf. It's
I'm biting my finger on the camera because it's this is the East Lothian pushback, but it is. I mean, there's something very special about standing on that first tee at St Andrews with all the history around about it. I think that's why North Berwick is, gets such great raves as well, because you're also standing in the town and you're playing out and down the coast and back into it. But we're just blessed with golf. And if you guys listening, you girls listening, any ideas come on the podcast with girls, because that would be great. But Go and look at the website, www.scotlandwheregolfbegan.com, or the society website, www.1457society.com. Come and join us. We're here to help you plan your journey. If you look on the website, you'll find the tour operators, you'll find Bonnie B Golf, you'll find, you won't find Morton Golf anymore, so we need to talk to Dave about the other day about Fairways to Heaven joining, so we have been talking a bit about that. But on the website, you'll find little videos and films and stories and blogs about where to stay, where to eat, and where to drink. Dave Harris, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Ross.
It's good to chat again, Dave, and hello to Rachel and Julie. Pass on my regards to them when you see them.
Well, I talk for Britain, so probably time for me to shut up. And I'm kind of looking at the time. We never quite know how long for these things to go, but it's just been great having you on, Dave, and the history and the knowledge you've got, and maybe I'll get you back on to talk about just other golf courses around Scotland, because a lot of what we're trying to do here is about expose the other golf courses and the smaller places, different places to stay, where to join and eat. So if you're listening and you're a golf course in the town of Scotland want to join us, give us a shout. www.scotlandwheregolfbegan.com. You'll find all the stuff on the podcast and information below. Thank you, and here's till the next time. Bye.